The tree is killing me. Come on now. Work that pedal.
All right. Let me see if my man is here. Welcome, Chief.
Yo, you look like you're fresh off sunshine and sand. Yo,
Listen, my
you
wife is
look,
upset with me because she said that I would not shave. I told her I'm not
yo,
shaving on my vacation.
me neither.
You see, so you see, so and then
You don't want me to take off this B because you're gonna see some stuff. No shave
boy,
November stretched into January,
listen,
B. We went into the new year.
this is how it's gonna be right
It's
now.
gonna be right now, B.
You
It's
know,
cold.
yo, it's good to see your face,
It's
man.
good to see your face, man. It's cold up your way too, you know. No, B. We were
I
coming
don't know
back.
what you mean. I don't know what you mean by it's cold. It's frigid up in this piece. You hear me?
Yo, up your way. That cold is different, B. It is different up your way. That's all I'm saying. That
And
cold up there
know,
is different,
this ain't like New York when it snow, everything's shut down on 1 inch
bro. This is new stuff. Why they couldn't shut down stuff like this when we was coming up?
because it was New York. New York, 6 inches of snow, 8 inches of snow. You're still going to school.
Yeah, that's nastiness is what it is.
You listen, man. It's good to see your face, man.
And good to see you too, man.
I see you were doing some stuff over the little break.
Yeah, man. We went up to Faith wanted to take off the last 2 weeks of the year and just spend it with family. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
good.
I went up to Jersey, um, and between Jersey and New York, got to go. You know what I'm saying? To New York, go see Kurt and Mikey and them dudes, man.
Yes, yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying? Keith Mitchell and you know what I'm saying? Run with the old squad, man.
Keith Mitchell.
Yeah,
Them
yeah.
good people. You hear me,
Those
man?
good people, man. Them is good people. Them good people. Yo, I took Nico out on the block. I took Nico out on the block, P.
Yo, listen. I'm sorry about this, right? I don't know what's going on. Maybe I ain't paying my bill, but I can't get you on for your Facebook, and I can't get me on for
I
my
think
YouTube.
I saw it. I think it might be just that we need to reconnect it. That's all.
Definitely. So if you look at the top and it says if you want to stream it to your page, I think you can
Yeah.
do it.
I
All
think
right.
we can I think we can still do it. Let me see what the thing is saying.
So listen,
Yeah.
I posted something today, man. There's no trouble, but something to think about, man.
What's it?
We'll go back to the post. It says in every relationship, you're either going to get a uh, a teammate or an opponent.
Facts.
A teammate or an opponent.
Facts.
I don't
Facts.
know. I don't know, man. Then somebody wrote and said, "Hey, listen. Sometimes you get a teammate and then they turn into an opponent."
This is true. But you know something else too? Your opponent is not an opponent because they disagree with you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
sometimes because they don't see what we see or operate in what we operate in, we think that they're um an opponent. So just because somebody disagree with you, because here's the funny thing, there's some
Mm.
areas that I don't operate too well in. if I if I'm keeping it 100, shouts out to
Okay.
Kessler. You know what I'm saying? And my wife has been put in place as a helpmeet. That is her God-given responsibility, is to be my helpmeet. Now, sometimes my helpmeet don't mean help me do further foolishness. Sometimes my helpmeet means step in and say, "Hey, bro, that's not a part of the plan."
That's not a part of the plan.
And because it's not a part of the plan, we're not doing that. Is she my opponent in that place and space?
No, but I'm thinking more of the lifestyle, right? I'm thinking
Yeah.
more of the lifestyle. I'm thinking more of, you know, sometimes a spouse can kill a dream.
Ooh.
Sometimes a spouse can kill, uh, um, you know, I don't want to. Well, maybe I should say it like this. Sometimes a spouse can kill your esteem.
Mhm.
Sometimes a spouse can hurt, man. Can hurt you.
Oh, a spouse can always hurt you because you
In fact,
care.
I think they know.
Yeah.
They know what hurts. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They know how to hurt.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yep.
They know how to hurt, man. So when I saw it today, man, I was like, man, is my spouse more than that? My question is, am I an opponent
Yeah.
or am I a teammate?
So then when you say that though, Pete, it starts causing me to start examining other areas. If I'm in, when you say relationship, are we talking in the context of marriage?
Well, one of the things I did think about was in any relationship.
Okay.
It could be a working relationship. It
Okay.
could be but I'm talking about marriage right now, or a committed relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What is Sade saying? What did she say? Sometimes you get a
coach.
coach.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Kesson says sometimes the partner is perceived as an opponent. Oh, that's where you were coming from just now.
That's it.
I like that. That's where you were coming from just now.
Yep. And perception is reality, even though it's not reality.
All right. I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So the question is, in a relationship, is someone being a teammate, but the person on the other end don't receive it as a teammate, but they receive it as them being an opponent?
That part.
Okay. We
because when I'll give you an example here. When faith is operating in the places in space, because let's just talk from a personality standpoint. I'll pull the trigger first and ask questions later. We'll figure out what we need to figure out once we hit. And faith is like, her whole MO is no, sir. Rules and protocols are in place for a reason. That's her whole makeup.
That's her mantra.
Yep. Everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, writes down everything. There's a time for everything. Like, everything has a place. That's my wife. Right. Me, not so much. Right. So when I'm operating in the places and spaces where she perceives me operating in a threat, because what affects me is going to affect her.
Okay.
She'll say, hey, bro. You know what I'm saying? I could, if I'm not a healthy individual, right? And if we're not communicating, because the first thing I'm going to be like is, why not? And then she's going to list all the details, because that's who she is, as to why not. Stuff that I probably wouldn't even think of. Now, if I'm a healthy individual, I'm going to be like, oh, okay. Maybe I didn't think this through.
Man.
So she going to poke the holes in the thing.
Right,
and then
I'm
like, okay, I got it. Let me back off, because I know that if it affects me, then it's going to affect you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Y'all like that. Sade says, when you practice for a game, your teammate becomes your opponent, not to challenge you, but to strengthen your defense. All right, let's hear more from her, because I'm tired of her.
Shot Dizzle. You know what I'm saying? What's good?
For those who are on right now, I'm going to ask you to take this time and share it with others right now. Is your spouse an opponent, or is your spouse a teammate, or how do you really see it? But Sade just killed us with this joint.
You know what I'm saying?
She just said when you practice a game, your teammate becomes your opponent, not to challenge you, but to strengthen your defense. I can't wait till you get married. Even if I'm not invited, I'm going. I'm going.
Please send me.
I'm going with 2 flags.
Send me. I'm gonna sit right next to Paul. Send it to me. Send it to me too. I'd love to be there. Hey, brother, let me just hype you to a couple of things before you.
let me give you the white flag. Let me give you the white flag.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let me show you how to surrender. I just want to show you how to surrender. Because this one, leave this, leave that argument alone. Leave that one alone.
Wow. Terry says, I was in competition with my ex and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
I had
a we mentality.
A we mentality.
And she had a mentality. Wow. Blousers.
Okay, Sade, come on, talk to us. Come on, where's your head at?
I think a lot of times, so crazy enough, I was getting my hair done today, and my stylist and I were talking about how
Her stylist, boss.
Okay.
Her stylist and her were talking. Yeah,
talk
go
that
ahead.
talk, Sha. I ain't mad.
But we were talking about how it's more apparent that the enemy's goal, especially and I can only speak from the community I know, which is the Black community. His goal is really and truly is to destroy the idea of marriage, but more so the man in the marriage. And I think some men, let me not overgeneralize, take feedback as opposition and not necessarily another way of thinking about things, right? Just because I submit to you does not mean I can't question you. So if you bring something to the table, I'm like, sir, did you think through? Because I'm going to think about it from a different perspective. Although we are one in body, like in motion, we still have two minds. And you have to respect the fact that I'm not going to think about everything the same way you do. So I'm not trying to oppose you as your teammate. I'm challenging you to think through, what does this look like if this fails, or if this doesn't go this way? What is our plan? Not your plan, but what is our plan? Because if I'm your teammate, your failure becomes my failure.
I love it.
Ooh, I like that.
I love it.
It's not opposition all the time. Sometimes, yes, but sometimes it's just, we have to be able to communicate that I may not agree, but I'm not opposing you. I'm just trying to make you think about it a different way. That's all.
So do you ever think that maybe it's the way y'all are making us think of it in a different way?
So now this is one thing I will say. In my last situation, I learned a lot about communicating the way somebody receives things instead of the way I want to give it. Okay. You have to know your partner well enough to know, like, are there trigger words that I could say that can make him feel inadequate or make him feel as though he didn't think about this the way I'm thinking about it. So, and it is not to protect the ego, it's to protect the marriage or the relationship. If my goal is to go in and strengthen us in this situation, I'm going to be mindful about the words I use, the time I choose to talk to you about this. And I'm not coming to you with a problem. I'm coming to you with a solution-focused mindset. Like, I don't agree, but this is what I think we could do differently.
Okay. Rochelle makes a comment. She says, if the spouse is acting as an opponent to help strengthen, then that should be occasionally, not all the time. Come on, Rochelle, fix it up. You got it? What she said?
Yeah, like, I can't. If my goal is to strengthen you, I can't always knock you down, right? And so that opposition, again, I feel like opposition is such a strong word. Okay. That reflection of thought should not be something that you constantly experience. Sometimes I need to go to the Lord about what I don't understand when you say it. Sometimes my conversation is not with you because we just not gonna get it. But if I go to God and say, I don't understand what you're doing in his life or what you're showing him, can you show me or show him what I'm experiencing? Then that's us being, again, on the same team. But again, sometimes I can't go to you. Sometimes I just need to go to God and say, he's not making a lick of sense. Show me what you've shown him in a way that I would be comfortable moving forward with whatever.
Terry,
I just seen it.
My man Terry says that makes it sound so good. Oh, you said youthful exuberance.
Yes.
Wow. But you know what I would tell people is, I'll be 39 this year, and one thing that has helped me is seeing the failures of others. I don't need to make the same mistakes in order to get the experience. So if I've had married people who have poured into me and said, this is what went wrong, this is where we didn't go right, this is where we messed up, I don't need to take that same step and say, see, we need this experience for our marriage. Nope. I've learned from the experience. let me put it to you this way. I always ask the question, why isn't the Bible still being written? Because there are so many experiences that other people have had that if I could just see it and say, oh, I don't need to go down that road. Nope. I don't need that experience. I read your story and I'm good.
You said you're 39?
I'll be 39 in July.
You
Yeah.
sound about
Come
60.
Come on.
You sound
Come
about
on.
60. I'm scared for the brother. I'm scared. I'm frightened.
Yeah.
No, but you know what though? I'm actually not scared because of who she is. She's gonna know exactly what to pick, and whatever she picks is gonna be a reflection of her spirit. So
Listen, I've given him all that he needs. Like I listen, sir, whomever.
Sir, sir, whomever.
Ah,
The thing that I've understand is, again, if you come to me with something that is dear to your heart, right, and I'm your teammate, my
yes,
goal in that moment isn't to crush the dream, but understand how you see it working.
Come on.
And if I can process that, and then again, I think too many times we talk to each other when we're supposed to go to God first. God, give him the vision, give him the plan, give me the willingness, give me that spirit to support. And when I don't understand, help me to be obedient to you, not to
Yes,
him,
sir.
but to
but
you.
you.
Because you tell me that submit to him wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And when I don't understand, help me to trust you and not him. I think that's where we make a lot of mistakes is in marriage, we forget that our trust is not supposed to be in our spouse, but we're
Come on.
still supposed to be relying on God about what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Adriana,
heard it.
she just said that. That's a dope way to look at it. I just had this conversation with someone. You know, it's funny, right? Sometimes we do have this mindset where if I don't get what I want in the relationship, immediately that person is an opponent.
Mhm.
Instead of because I'm not seeing what I need, that person becomes an opponent. But what happens when someone's really an opponent? That's my question. What happens when somebody really is an opponent?
We need to have some conversations. What are we doing?
Wow.
If you are an
Well,
opponent to me and I'm supposed to be, and I'm just speaking from a male perspective because I'm a husband. If you view me as your opponent, what are we doing wrong? We're doing something wrong. I should never be viewed as an opponent.
right.
So if I am viewed as an opponent, then something is wrong, and we need to have some conversations about why it is that you view me as an opponent. You're on mute.
Wait,
You're on mute.
you're on mute. You're on mute. Hey, listen,
Oh,
man, and it must sound like a good point was coming. You see that?
it was coming. It was coming.
She said, "What happened?"
Oh,
She said, "What happened?"
The devil's a lie and his breath stink.
Yeah.
So
So,
you got
so
to
I
go
guess
out
I
and come
guess
back
what
in because
Now,
yes.
okay. I think before we get to the why do you see me like this, is how did we get here?
Yes, that part.
How did we get to, because we weren't opponents at the beginning. So how did we get to the point to where now you see me as because really your opponent is your enemy.
Yep.
So how did we get to the point to, and do you see me as your opponent in all areas of life, or is it just this one area where you don't see me as your helpmeet or your protection, or is it just this one area, or are there multiple areas in life where you feel, because really what you're saying is, how have I failed you in this area of life to where this is how you see me?
That's good.
That's good. It's really nice. That's
Because
good. That's good.
a lot of people would point the finger and say, how is it that you come to see me as that? No. How have I failed you?
Mhm.
I like it.
I mean, again, I'm just the single one out here, but I feel as though a lot of times, and this is just in any relationship, it's hard to humble ourselves and ask somebody, how have I mishandled the gift that you are in my life?
Ooh, stop it. You said, how have I mishandled the gift?
Yeah.
that you are in my life. How
And
have
you are in my life.
But that's what it is. Marriage is a gift. It's not promised to anybody.
clearly? I mean, I'm sorry.
The word speaks on it. I mean, the disciples was like, well, if that's the case, we're gonna stay single. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's happening like that. So it's obviously a gift. It's not something that's promised. And you better handle it properly too, because if not, then you deal with the consequences of Matthew 25. But that's a whole nother hookup.
It's a whole nother what?
Hookup. Yep.
Man.
Yep.
I got to tell you, man, I think a lot of times we get to a place where we have this idea of what a relationship is and what marriage is. And many times when it doesn't come out that way, instead of saying, how do we journey together? We end up saying, you're the problem, you're the issue, or that person is against me. My wife is against me, my husband's against me. And I think a lot of times we don't look at it as you have said in the very beginning, you know, is it really a negative, or is it that I am not receiving
Well, here's the thing
what
too,
I'm supposed to receive?
I wanna back up just a little bit, because a lot of us want the end result. And since we're talking in the context of relationship, you want relationship without doing the soul work, right? There's this thing that I teach my in premarital, right? It is, you know, development is a big thing for me, right? But I've gone a step further. On the front end and on the back end of development. On the front end is discover, on the back end is deploy, right? So on the front end of the 3Ds, like discover what marriage is, discover what it means to be a husband, discover what it means to be a wife. Once you have an understanding and you have a full grasp on what it means to be a husband or a wife, then develop into what that means.
Okay, I want you to pause on that for a second, because Rochelle just made a statement just now. Okay, just based on the tail end of what you just said. Sometimes people are opponents from the beginning and don't know it until it's necessary to move, unless it's necessary to develop.
Facts.
You understand where I'm coming from?
And
I think many of us also get married and think that we automatically are developed.
Yep. But sometimes they don't see it because they smashing.
Well, smashing.
I'm saying
smashing can help you to be
cloudy
can help
vision.
you to be cloudy. Can help you to be very cloudy. You know.
But I also think it's because, and if I'm going to be completely honest, at one point I was so pressed about being a bride that I never understood what it meant to be a wife.
Wow.
I wanted to be a bride. I wanted to have like in college at Oakwood, I knew my color scheme. I was just, who is he? Never thought about, like, what if he gets sick and I have to take care of him for the rest of our lives? What if he
gets impotent? What if he becomes impotent in the second year of marriage?
Oh, still ain't thought about that one. I'm sorry.
God is
still ain't on my radar. That was still ain't on my radar.
God be merciful. Please don't let it be me.
Jesus wept.
Or he's weeping.
I think at 23, 24, we're not trained to think about that. At 39, I do live with the reality of I can marry somebody today and tomorrow he gets a diagnosis that leads me to be his caretaker for the rest of his life. A bride doesn't want that.
Right.
A wife understands I'm not signing up for something that's pretty. I'm signing up for something that is work, and it's a daily work. I think we take that whole, you have to die to self daily as our Christian walk. In marriage, you have to die. I have to die to the fact that I want to do what Sade Nicole wants to do, because I'm with a whole other person. And I can't imagine it with a child in the mix, because that sometimes becomes your opponent, is your child. Your child starts off as just a teammate on the team, but now we picking sides, and now we're conflicted because we knew what we wanted as husband and wife, but we never thought about how we would be as parents. And so bringing all of these things, and at my age, your parents may be older, and I have to think about you taking care of my parents or me taking care of your parents. All of these things are designed to help us in some sense. But if we
as teammates and not opponents.
right, but if from the beginning I'm trying to be a bride and you over here just trying not to be single, husband and wife's not in the mindset, and it's just it can't work. It can be
I
functional,
hear you.
but it can't work.
Wow.
Some
Hey,
people
I
have
don't know. Rochelle is doing some sweet stuff out here. I sent her a link to come on and jump on. She looked like she's North Carolina, crack-a-lack in North Carolina. I don't know.
Come on.
Rochelle, I'm telling her jump on, but if she don't want to jump on, that's fine. So my issue is that this is for Paul Graham. I'm going to tell y'all a quick story, right? Wow, somebody said, I want to hear what Terry has to say. Bring on Terry. Wow. I'm scared. I mean, I have the right to be afraid because Terry's scary.
She said, I'm trying.
The other day yesterday, I was in the airport, and oh snap, I forgot. I am so sorry. I sent a post out to Leah Chapman to come on, but her daughter's father passed.
Oh.
And I didn't even, and she just texted me to tell me, so condolences to you, to Leah. I'm sorry about that. I totally forgot. I read it. Sorry about that. Rochelle says she's trying to jump on. Okay, go. Keep trying. Make sure you do that. Keep trying. So, and Terry, I sent you one also. So I'm in the airport, and we're on Southwest. So Southwest does a little bit differently. Southwest, you get your number, but it's for jockeying for seats. Okay.
Jacking beats. Stop playing.
So my wife and myself, we walk up to the spot and we're like, okay. She's like to the man, is this B so and so? He's like, I'm B41. We're like B20 something, so we're way in front. So my wife says to him, hey, I just want to get through because we are in front of you here. He's like, it's just a letter, it's just a letter, and it being a letter, they're just letting everyone through. And my wife was like, well, no, I want to make sure that I'm standing where I'm supposed to stand. Mind you, I'm behind her. My mindset is, don't worry about it. It's okay. But I got to remember, I got 4 people with me, and we got seat numbers, areas so that we can go in, so we can at least be around each other. My man says, what's the big deal? We're all going to the same place anyway. And she says, no, this is Southwest, and I want to go where my number is to stand, what have you. He says, just go ahead then. Just move. Let's go, just go ahead. And I was walking behind Wendy. I'm watching everything, but I'm walking behind her. And like, when do I jump in? When do I jump in and be like, my man, you know what I'm saying? But what I recognize is
my business, P.
I didn't have to do that because he didn't do anything that required me to do that, or to step in. It's either you're going to let us go by whether you like it or not, or so do I go, yeah, or excuse me, is there a problem here? What do you do? But the fact of the matter is, sometimes, I'm going to say this to y'all, hope my wife don't hear this. Sometimes when someone is leading and they're leading correctly, you don't have to counteract that. You understand where I'm coming from? I mean, there was no reason for me to step in and be like, yo, what's going on?
But I'm going to stand on the side just in case you do foolery, and I'm going to just in case you want to catch that action.
And my son, who's 6 feet behind me, the issue simply is that I think I would have become an opponent if I said, honey, just forget about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Now remember,
Your,
remember now. I need
your
you to
wife is
understand.
Jamaican? Yeah. Oh yeah. You'd have been an opponent immediately.
Okay, I just want to be clear, right? I would have been an opponent if I had said, just let it pass,
Oh yeah.
or forget about it. You know what? Just go ahead,
For sure.
because I may not be an opponent through my relationship, but in that instance right there, I would have opposed her right then and there.
For sure.
You understand where I'm coming from?
For
Mhm.
sure.
Teammate, what teammate is not just following her, but if my man was like, "What's your problem?" then she wouldn't have to speak anymore. Then I become a teammate, and I oppose him. You understand where I'm coming from?
So I have a question.
Okay.
How did you celebrate her when you all got to go? Like she finished the stuff, everything was done. How did you celebrate her?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now. I wanted her to understand that she did the right thing. Right? I wanted her to understand that she wasn't being outside of herself. I said, I told her that. And I also said to her, I said to her, forget about me doing anything. I really like the way you did not allow him to use his privilege.
Nice.
So I said to her, and I also said, I don't want you to think about it anymore. It's done. It's fine. And you know, I'm really, and I use these words, I'm proud of that. I use it sitting right there. And I don't think the kids heard, but if the kids heard, they would have understood that a lesson was to be taught, that one thing, that if he did something and I didn't do anything, or if I said just let it slide, I would have opposed her. But more than that, I would have also opposed my family. So yes, I did celebrate her. I definitely did.
And the reason why I ask is I think a lot of times men and women are so different.
Mm-hmm.
And when I play softball, right? Our after game sessions were hours, seems like, right? Because we all have feelings associated with the win or with the loss, right? My stepbrother played baseball. Good game, guys. Go home. And I think a lot of times we take that into like our relationships where it's like, I've been told, you just want to talk about it and you just want to get it. And it's like, yes, because I'm processing either a win or I'm processing a loss. And if my teammate cannot sit in that with me, it makes me feel like I'm no longer on the team, but now I'm playing something where it's one-on-one. And so that's why I asked, because a lot of times when women, we don't want to be in those positions, but when we are in those positions, it is very affirming to have a partner who says, I see what you did. I appreciate what you did. I hate that you had to do it, but you did this well. So that's why I asked that question.
Okay, I got you. And thanks for putting me
holding you
on
to the
blast.
fire.
What did you say? What did you say?
Holding you to the fire.
Well, I appreciate that because I always want to be that person that would do it for my kids, that would do it for my family, that would do it for my friends. Because again, in any relationship, are you a teammate? In any relationship, right? Are you a teammate? Are you an opponent? But I like that, because if I said to her when I sat down in the plane, yo, you shouldn't have done that. Even if it wasn't in front of her, even if it wasn't in front of the guy, I would have still been an opponent.
Oh yeah.
You know, definitely. But I was proud because I'm the kind of guy that'd be like, yo, you know what, man, just go ahead. Just go ahead. No need. But he got red. He got very upset. He was very upset. He was angry. And I was just like, how is this going to turn out? But being a teammate and an opponent, I'm going to tell you where it really matters a lot that I have seen in relationships. I'm going to tell y'all right now, finances.
What's the finances? Top tier. Yeah.
You said that's where they lose it, P?
Yo, man, like a lot of times in the finances, you find that a lot of the opposition comes in finances.
Why though?
I couldn't tell you why.
Because come on, Sade, and then I'll come after you.
So I can say for myself, I've always said, whomever I marry, dear future him, he has to be strong when it comes to finances. I think a lot of times people in general don't sit back and think about their weaknesses before they get into relation with someone else. And if we are serious, a lot of us struggle with finances because we have access to resources we've never had in life. And so, how to manage that and how to be a good steward of it comes with practice. And I'm not practicing that right now. Jesus wept.
Mm.
But what I'm grateful is that my covering will be able to be my teammate and say, okay, this is how we are going to do finances. This is not how I'm doing it. This is not how you're doing it. This is how we're doing it. And a lot of people still think of my money, your money, yours. And it's not, this is our money together. And I think that's where a lot of issues arise when it comes to finances.
Okay. So I'm rocking with her 100%. I just want to go back to what Terry said at 9:32 p.m. Some folk don't even know what a wife or a husband is.
Wow.
Once again, discover, develop, deploy. Before you even go to the place of marriage, do you know who you are as an individual, much less to be a husband or a wife?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know your weaknesses as it relates to finances? Do you know your strengths as it relates to finances? If you don't know that and you want to get married, then you might need to pedal back a couple of steps because all of these things are necessary. You know what I'm saying? Then on top of that, when we do get to that place, have we had conversations where we have similar goals as to what it is that we want to achieve? Which one of these do we want to tackle first? You know what I'm saying? Unless you're balling out of control, you're not about to do all of them at the same time. So what do we want? What do we want to handle first? What is the most important thing to us financially? Do we want to invest? Do we want to, whatever it is that we want to do? What do we want to do first? And sometimes when people come into a relationship, I have this idea about where I want to go with my finances. And I have this idea about where I want to go with my finances, not realizing, just like Sade said a while ago, it's not your finances or my finances, it's our finances. What do we, so the question is not what I want to do. The question now becomes, what do we want to do?
I don't see that a lot, man.
Hence the reason. Mm-hmm.
People have the conversation one time and think that, okay, that's it for the rest of it. No, like that is a quarterly, sometimes a yearly, a semi-annual conversation. Like, listen, you got a promotion at work. That's more money coming. How are we moving now that you have this? Or we took a pay cut. How, like, every
we us
and you know what's funny? I was told, women, y'all like to live a comfortable life and blah, 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 blah. Yes, okay, whatever. What I think has to happen, though, is that people have to be assured, right? Like, because trauma can happen in finances as a child, right? I grew up with a single parent. So I was always told I couldn't get what I wanted or I had to wait. So now I'm like, if I want something, I'm going to get it. And so that trauma cannot go into my marriage and me think my husband has to be like, okay, so you just spent this and we have this. Oh, I didn't even know about that bill because you don't tell me about it. It's a fluid conversation that has to happen when it comes to finances, or at least.
All right, 39. Listen, what if, right? I'm going to say this. You met the man of your dreams, right? You felt like God has led you to this dude, the whole nine. God has led you to him, he to you, so and so, whatever. But he's like, yo, you know what? I'm at a certain age where I had an ex-wife. Mm-hmm. I have children, so and so, whatever. I'm just saying, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I want you to have your own money. I want me to have my own money. How would that hit you?
No, because okay, so your children, right? And this is what I tell people. One reason for the longest time,
and of course, I recognize you're speaking from a single angle. So
yes. And I have no children, right? So, but what I realize is that if I choose to join myself to someone who has that history, right, I'm also joining myself to their future. So I can't say to you, oh yeah, your kids are your kids, because what I understand, that I believe that if I marry someone and he passes and he has children, those children are still my responsibility, right? So I have to guard that. And it can't be this is you and this is me, but where's the we? Like, where does that we can't be selective in where we're one. Like that's not how it works. We can't be like, oh, we're one in this area, but not in this area. Either we're one or we're not. So
I just want to say that the word is very clear. And for this reason, the reason of marriage, shall a man leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. What when you're hearing that, what do see? That's the kind of stuff that people just read. Oh, okay, one flesh, that's cute. All right, and keep it moving. Do we actually know what it means to become one flesh? I ain't talking about sex. So
I don't think most people do what you have and what Sade is speaking so eloquently about.
Come on, T.
Is this right here. This is how us married folk and divorced folk can speak on it, because we had that experience. But here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. In a relationship, this is a lot of what you see going on. Watch my fingers now, because some people, what I was trying to say earlier, have a we mentality, but others have a me mentality. And so this is what you see happening. You see that? It's not this, and it's not this. It's this. And every time these fingers meet together, boom, that's when we get together, have a little sex, and keep it moving. Boom, come together, have a sex, and we're this. And people are not on the same page. The husband is in chapter 3. Wife ain't got the book open. Kids don't know what you're reading. You see what I'm saying? Because you have this going on, and someone's trying to push their agenda. You see what I'm saying? Because they may think that their method is better. And just because you are the man does not mean you are a good leader. Look what happened. Look what happened. Look what happened to the Patriots coach right after the game. Gone. Look what happened to Everhouse in Chicago, middle of the season. Gone. You see what I'm saying? These guys know football and they're gone. By the way, let me go ahead and give a shout out. Okay.
I knew it. I saw it.
wow.
And so the thing is we enter into these relationships and we have no clue, because a lot of our role models were not good role models.
That point. We
have no clue. Like what Sade is speaking on, oh my God, that would be perfect if you're the right individual. But most people don't have that mindset. You know what I'm saying? It sounds good. Yeah, she'll make a good partner. And then you get in there and she's trying to make these things happen, but she's running into somebody who doesn't want that to happen, because my way is a better way. So for instance, okay, if I meet Sade and I say in my mind, like we meet on a dating website or something like that, okay? And so,
well, hold on. First of all, Rochelle, smile, because we want you to know you're on now, okay? There we go. There we go. You can't be popping in and we're not bringing you, in. Okay, got you. She said, welcome. No, welcome.
Okay.
Good to see you, girl. I love your background. Go ahead, Terry. Talk to us, Terry.
All right. So let's say, I meet Sade. We're on a dating website or something like that. And I meet her and, okay, we click with her. So we want to go out. Okay. And so we go out. And in my mindset, I'm looking for a wife and she's looking for a husband. Okay. And my mindset is I want a stay-at-home wife. Okay.
In my mind.
But I don't tell her that. And
in Jesus' name.
She wants to be a stay-at-home wife. Okay. And so we're talking and we're eating and whatever. And I say, so tell me what your views are for the future, what kind of wife, mother? Oh, yeah, I want to have kids and 2.5 children, and I want to be a stay-at-home wife. And I'm like, oh, she said the magic word. A stay-at-home wife. I'm looking for a stay-at-home wife. Now, nobody else answered this. Okay. Nobody else answered this. I don't know if I should ask Sade this or not. Paul, I'm going to ask you. She says she wants to be a stay-at-home wife. I want a stay-at-home wife. What's my next question to Sade?
Doggone it, man.
What's my next question to Sade?
I got the answer.
I know she would. That's why I don't want you to answer it. Here it is. I'm gonna let you off the hook. You know what it is?
Look
You know
like
what it is? Tell me what that looks like.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Her idea and my idea, I guarantee are different.
You got an idea? Hey, I got you.
I knew
got you.
someone who did not eat leftovers. So that means what? His wife
gotta be
is
cooking every
cooking
day.
every day.
day.
Or she has to prepare something. Was that talked about in the beginning? See, we get in again. Look at all relationships that are broken, that are divorced or whatever. I guarantee you the two words you'll find is what? Expectations and assumptions.
I love that. I love that. Expectations
and assumptions.
And somebody write that down in the chat.
Selfishness.
Expectations and assumptions.
Expectations and assumptions wrapped up in selfishness. Talk to anybody who's divorced, talk to anybody who's separated, and you will find that. You will say, well, what did y'all get? Ever have an argument like this? Well, I expected you to do that. You're supposed to be the woman. Well, I assumed you were doing it. You're supposed to be the boy father. You see what I'm saying? Expectations and assumptions that were never discussed in the beginning. Because guess what? There's nothing wrong with setting expectations. It's when you don't, you just make an assumption. Well, you know what? She a woman, I'm a man, so she gonna do the woman thing. Well, we didn't talk about that. You didn't tell me you didn't eat leftovers. So now you're yelling at me and I didn't know? How am I supposed to know that? Well, I expect to have this every day.
Unfair and uncommunicated.
I got some issues going on here. Why is it that the women are at the bottom and the men are at the top?
You know, I was not going to.
Listen,
God made us the priest of the household. We are the priest of the household.
Rochelle, I see stuff that I don't know you from Adam. Do I know you, Rochelle? Do I know you?
No, you don't.
Okay, I don't know you from Adam, but some of the stuff you were putting in there, I was just like, who this? And I looked, North Carolina, so that's definitely a Quest issue. You know Quest, am I correct?
I do not.
Where in North Carolina are you?
Where you from?
I'm not in North Carolina. I'm in Georgia. I went to North Carolina A&T.
So okay.
I'm an ACC. Aggie, right. So yeah, I'm from North Carolina originally, but I live in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so how did you find this? I'm not trying to be funny because I be popping in people that I know, and I don't know you from Adam, but I love your stuff.
Dr. Parks.
She is my intern.
He likes to call me an intern, but yeah. I came to this situation with a little bit of information and knowledge, but I cannot say that I have not learned from the good Dr. Parks. I have.
Come on.
There you go.
Come on.
So, Rochelle, you make comments about conversations. You're saying it can't happen without conversations. What's your heart saying?
Well, I remember having a conversation recently with a friend of mine. Well, it wasn't recently, but we had a conversation in reference to dating. And I said, there are a lot of questions that have to be answered, and not only that asked and answered, but not only questions, because I tend to be a wordsmith, I want definitions. So as speaking to what Dr. Park says, what does that word mean to you? What does that word, and I have to tell you what that word means to me. I have to tell you what wife looks like in my eyes. I need your perspective on what husband looks like. I grew up in a two-parent home. I have a perspective of husband and wife. If he did not, and even if he did, his perspective is different from mine. I'm divorced. My ex-husband had both of his parents. They fought like cats and dogs. His dad didn't work. His mom worked 2 or 3 jobs. My mom was a stay-at-home wife. So our perspectives of husband and wife were totally different, even though from the outside looking in, we had very similar situations. And of course, it led to the downfall, hence he's my ex.
Can I ask a question real quick? What led, or what was it that put you in position to choose him?
I think it was, well, if I'm totally honest, it was a rebound situation from a previous relationship. And I was young. And you get into this relationship and you think, oh, everybody's getting married now. Let me go ahead and get married now. So I had not put enough time into learning who I was, discovering what I needed, what I wanted. And in addition to that, what a lot of people do, young or old, is choose mates based on their insecurities. Because whatever my insecurity is right now, if this person is satisfying it, if you ever grow and the goal is to grow, that person's not going to satisfy you anymore.
P. Okay. I wish what is wrong with Facebook and the connections? Because they need that right there is the basis
Absolutely.
that every single person needs to hear. The development is screaming to me. And when you are not developed, you're going to pick a reflection of who you are spiritually. You're going to grow, and that person is not going to, oh man.
And,
Yeah,
unless they grow, unless they're interested in the growth process and you guys can find a way to grow together, you're going to grow apart. And now you're in a situation where you're trying to make it work, because what do you have now? You've probably got kids, you've got a house, you've got cars, you've got businesses, you've got all of these things that say we're supposed to be together. But internally, you know, we are not supposed to be together.
Oh, wow. Mia, go ahead.
That because you said I do, that God put that together, and God did not put every marriage together.
Can I just take a break real quick?
Could that be viewed as trauma bonding?
Sure.
It can be, because
I know that. I'm just asking the question for the audience.
of course, and I'm explaining.
So wait, we got to break down what trauma bonding is, because that may be a new concept to a lot of people.
It is for me. Go, Armina, go ahead.
Mina.
I'm gonna let the doctor who brought that out.
Come on.
I'm only scared because we got all these professionals on.
Well,
and we lowly folks. We just teammates.
It sounds just
so
like
before we talk about trauma bonding, we got to talk about what trauma is. Trauma is just injury to the mind, the body, the spirit. And it's not that trauma happens, that is keep happening over and over and over and over and over again. And the folks don't want it to happen. So what happens with trauma? It is this unusual experience wherein your
cycle. What?
No, your nervous system, okay, and its capacity to process the event gets overwhelmed, okay. And so what happens is pieces of that are left behind, frozen, unprocessed in the brain. So when energy hits those spots, you have what you call trauma experiencing, okay. And so what happens is you, like every last one of us on here, experience trauma somewhere in our life. You don't get through life. If you live long enough, you're going to experience trauma, plain and simple. The deal is that a lot of it is unprocessed. And here it is, we out here with all this unprocessed trauma trying to have relationships with folks. And it's just like, we just like, as Rochelle said earlier, this connects to my, you're feeding that weakness I have. And I'm feeding this. And that's what happens when we talk about trauma. That's pretty much it. We're bonding on, that happened to me. That happened to me too. Two divorced people get together and that person treated me wrong and that person treated me wrong. And they get together and they can't even make their stuff work.
What's that trauma? What is that called?
Trauma.
But the other aspect,
we bond by our trauma. Our trauma is what bonds us. You see what I'm saying?
But most of the time, though, in the relationship, in the trauma bonding, it's the person who is experiencing those traumatic events or experiences, I should say. They tend to gravitate to people who are abusive, just like the people just like the abuse they experienced. And so I call it the spidey senses, where you can't really see them, but there's these antennas out there, and we attract certain kinds of people. And so when it comes to trauma bonding, we're attracting people who are abusive. We're attracting people who are just not in it, because the emotional attachment that we have to that particular person is unhealthy attachment.
Yeah. And
Mm.
here's the thing. Here's the thing with that too, Mina. And I keep thinking this. I mean. You know, he questioned that in my head.
Come on.
Quest, you did. The Jungle
He put
Brothers.
that in
The
my head.
Jungle
I
Brothers.
can't
You
get
just
that out of my head.
Come on.
Okay. But here's the thing. Here's the thing of what we call that, Mina, is I call it doing the familiar. You see what I'm saying? We do what is familiar. We do what we know. If you remember the series The Wire, remember The Wire? Anybody watch The Wire? Remember when it got towards the end and Marlo was trying to go uptown,
Yes,
and
sir.
the white boy took him to where all the people were partying and whatever, and they said, "Hey, and don't wear that corner stuff or whatever down here." So he had to put on a suit. And he put on a suit, and when he got there, he was expecting the usual, okay, you the plug, here's the money, let's do this thing. But everybody was partying and having a good time or whatever, and he was like, wait, later for that. And he was not used to that. So what did he do? He left the party, threw the suit in the trash, put back on his hip-hop gear, and stood on the corner, because that's the familiar. This is what I know. And so what Amina's talking about is doing the familiar. I'm attracted to, like a moth to the flame. I'm attracted to this. This is what I know. I know a person who's a PR exec, and the bottom line is, because there was no drama in the relationship, it was going well, you didn't know what to do. I'm used to drama. I can fix drama, but I can't fix it when it's going well.
Might I also interject and add that sometimes, in addition to it being doing the familiar, it's also trying to heal that trauma. Because if the trauma was being rejected by someone, if I can get this person to accept me and not reject me, that helps heal on some level that experience that I had before, or at least that's the thought process. Does it solve the problem? It doesn't, but it's not going to solve the problem, because you're not going to be able to heal that person. You have to do that work with internally. That's not an external fix, but a lot of people are trying to resolve past issues with new people.
And that's why I think it's important, both Quest and Paul, anytime we've had these conversations, I'm very transparent that I think therapy is a key aspect of me being
A must.
Yes. And
just today, my therapist, my activity for today was to write a job description of my future husband.
My God. My God.
Right out his job. Right?
Yep.
What did it say? He need to be employed.
No. He was like, he said, and it was very interesting. The way he framed it was, marriage is work.
Right.
And so you have to know what it is that you're looking for in your coworker.
I love it.
And it's not a job description, and maybe I'm wrong, but correct me if I am. It's not a job description of what he does for a living, but what his job as a husband will
and it speaks to his characteristics, right? Like,
absolutely.
what are his characteristics within this relationship? Because when we talk about trauma bonding, one of the things that Parks mentioned was the brain and trauma. And I've been doing a lot of work around how trauma impacts the brain. And one of the ways it does is it impacts the architect of the brain. And so for the experiences that we have, it's either going to build a strong architect of the brain, or it's going to build a very weak one. But oftentimes the brain will sort of adapt and attach itself to the things that both hurt and causes relief. So the pain and the relief, it will sort of create a strong attachment to those things as well.
I think it always builds a strong attachment, not necessarily a weak. And the reason I say that is because even if it's incorrect, it's strongly incorrect. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes our beliefs are held so strongly, yet they're wrong. But we will stand because we can only see it one way based on the experience we had. And we are hell-bent and sold out.
Right. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is when I talked about being attracted to the same thing that causes us the pain, a lot of times it's the cycle of abuse that's followed by the love bombing or the kindness. So it's not just, the providing the abuse, but it's what follows after that.
Go ahead, Sade.
So like I said, my assignment today was to do my husband's job description, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm just going through and I'm writing out all of this is what he has to do. And my therapist said, I promise you, your top 3 are the things that you still need to heal from.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
He was
Absolutely.
like, he was like, subconsciously, you don't even know, but those top 3 are the 3 things that you yourself. And I was like, yeah,
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay, I got some questions. I got some questions. Armina, you were. I'm not trying to bring up bad vibes, but you were married before your husband passed, right?
Yeah.
And then you're married again.
Yes.
Okay.
Praise him.
Between the time and a beautiful baby girl. She ain't no baby no more. But your search, if you can go back to that time, getting married again, what was your biggest fear? And then I'm gonna ask you, Rochelle, if you would get married again, what would be your biggest fear? Okay. Okay. Go ahead. I mean, what was your biggest fear? If not,
So let's just be clear. I didn't want to get married again because of my biggest fear. And my biggest fear was how my husband passed away. He died in his sleep. And so I was afraid that whoever I was with next was going to also die in their sleep. And even into the early parts of the marriage, I slept with one eye open and one eye closed. I needed to see a chest moving up and down. I needed to make sure that he was breathing. I was like, snore all you want to, because that would be an indication that you're alive.
Wow.
So and if we could be truthfully honest on, national, whatever, I missed the intimacy, the sexual intimacy of a marriage. And so that's what I wanted. And I remember this old lady in church told me, she said, honey, you don't need that. There's other ways you can get that. And I was like, yeah, no, I need that. And so, initially that was my thought. And my now husband challenged me on that. And he was like, what we're not going to do is sleep together, but let's do a devotional. And because I was like, there's nothing in the Bible that says you cannot sleep with each other. Show me the scripture. I want to see those words, not anything like it. Right. And so my fear was I would get married. I just wanted to be single and just have a good time, but that wasn't in line with what God had for me. And I wanted to still make it to the kingdom. And so I found myself falling for this person or really liking this person and thinking, what would it be like to be married again? And right away, my brain said to me, he's going to die too. And it was like, okay. So then I was in therapy for grief counseling, but that was completely different than my actual fears of moving forward in this relationship.
Wow. So it didn't even have anything really to do with the opponent or the teammate thing. It had to do with the physical fact that this trauma of your husband, your first husband passing, it is this going to happen again?
Yes. I mean, why wouldn't it? Like, I had the same fears for myself. And initially I slept on the couch, and when I would realize I was sleeping, I would jump up in a panic and then be like, okay, I'm okay. And then, I have this thing where I say sleep has no mercy. Like, you're going to eventually fall asleep. There's just no way you can stay up for hours upon hours. And so the fear was just bigger than just a relationship. And I think that goes to Sade's top 3 things of what do you need healing from, if you're expecting and wanting it from the other people, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. And I want to thank you for being transparent about that. My wife always said, when or if anything should happen to her, that I can get married again. I said to my wife, honestly, I don't think if I want to get married again, she will always say to me, you need to get married again because you're going to go to hell.
Yes, Wendy, tell the truth.
So for me, I recognize that there is a level of anxiety for people who want to be married to the right person and for the right reasons, and the church doesn't talk about it enough. That's all I'm going to say. That's why it's so important for what you even just said. I wanted intimacy. Not only did I want intimacy, but I wanted to find the right person. And then I got to do all of that while I'm in fear.
But you also mentioned something like, if we were to have this honest conversation, we'd really be talking about, is there such a thing as the right person? You know, like we were talking about growth and changing. So if we believe in that, this growth concept, that as we go through life, we're going to grow and we're going to change, is there a right person in that moment? Because if I'm changing and moving, if you're not with me, you're automatically the wrong person, although you could have started off as the right person.
Oh, there we go. There we go again. This is where Sade, you messed us up in the very beginning with this opponent, teammate. You can start out as a teammate and then become the opponent in the relationship. And
and then turn into Tyreek Hill.
I believe that there's a right person. I don't believe that there's one single solitary right person.
Right.
I think there's a number of right people, because there's some wrong ones.
Okay. Y'all not gonna make me lose my job. Y'all not gonna let me lose my job. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I think though is, I think what happens is, yeah, I do believe, you know, if I believe biblically, Eve was created for Adam. There was that one person created for that one person. Because of sin, there's Adam, Steve, Chris, everybody now. What I think happens though is when we first meet up and we're teammates, right? We sign a contract and we never come back to the table to talk about how things have changed. Never come back and say, okay, well, we're 6 months in and I've noticed some things that I don't particularly like because I never saw you in this environment before. If we're doing it biblically, I've never lived with you, so I didn't know this is how you are, or I didn't know this is how you act around it, like
conversations.
And I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people have one conversation and just say,
no, one is not enough. One is
never
definitely not enough.
Because
But I think personally, I think maybe once a quarter, every 6 months, there needs to be a conversation. If you're married, just a talk. How are you? Where are you? Are you good? Are there things that I could be doing that you want that I'm not doing?
I learned in like my 8th, 9th year of marriage that I wasn't getting
that's
none
a
without a
vacation.
conversation.
In my
I wasn't getting none without a conversation.
Right. That's a getaway. That's a getaway. Let's go. Let's have this conversation. Everybody needs to be able
I didn't even know. Me, Armina, you go ahead and then Sade, but I'm gonna say this to Rochelle. I didn't even know. I'm gonna tell you, I don't care what no one said. You can say, Paul, you stupid. Call me what you will. I did not know until the middle of my marriage that conversations was foreplay.
Absolutely, especially for women. Especially for women.
No.
But now let me just say, you were posing a question to me that I did not have an opportunity to answer, and I wanted to follow up.
I'm scared of the answer, but go ahead.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. As they said. I'll say this. Early on, after my divorce, I was very fearful of remarrying, and I think that's why it has taken a while, because I was unsure of myself. There are two things that have to happen in order for people to be okay with getting back into a marriage, especially after they've divorced, or in the other young lady's case, after she's lost someone. One, you have to be comfortable, confident, and sure of who you are, what you want, and what you need. And two, you have to trust God. If you don't do those two things, there's no point in getting married. If you know who you are, because I didn't when I was 23, 24, getting married. If you know who you are, you know what you need, you know what you want, and you know how to spot that through conversation. I'm not going to get excited because you look good. I'm not going to get excited because your title is whatever. I'm not getting excited about that. When we sit down to have conversation, what are you saying? How does that resonate with me? Where are you going? What are you trying to accomplish? If those things don't resonate with me, this is a done deal. This probably won't go past this meal, whatever that meal was. So once I became more comfortable and confident in who I am and what I wanted, and able to see that, the fear is no longer there, because now I trust that whoever comes and finds themselves to be the person, now I got to trust God that he is that person. I got to trust God and not the man as much as God.
Sade, remember you said that you got to go back to God and find out, what's going on with this dude?
Right.
What's going on here?
That's who my conversation needs to be. Even if I'm feeling from a fleshly place, like I like this person, I think this person could be, my next conversation is with God. Well, What saith you? Do you think it's this person? Because there's no point in me getting excited about it because I did that before, and we see how that worked out. So
I got you.
Conversation is with God.
Okay.
Let me say this.
One thing.
Hold on, Terry. 1 second, Terry. Go ahead, Sadia, and then back to you,
Based
Terry.
off of what you just said, because I told myself, I said, look, I was really in question. Paul heard me say, I was really upset with God. I was like, sir, I have come to you. I have asked you questions. I have sat before you. And what I realized my biggest mistake was I went to God with what I wanted him to.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It cannot be what you want.
Is this the person? Yes. Okay. Like I didn't, it wasn't let me hear from you. It's let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Right. And the word says, I will give you the desires of your heart if you delight yourself in me. But what we're missing is if we delight ourselves in God, his desire for us becomes our desire. So now when I pray, I'm not praying, send me this man. I'm praying, send me the man you have for me. So now my ability to trust and see that that's who you've sent is what I have to rely on. And then I have a conversation and say, God, I believe this is who you sent. Help me. Help my unbelief.
Help my unbelief.
But can I just say, I didn't pray. I did not pray for the man I'm with. I told y'all what I wanted. And he said, let's do a devotional together. And if there's nothing in the devotional that points us to being abstinent, then we can go full-fledged. He said, matter of fact, you picked the devotional. I said, bet. I'm telling you, I searched several devotionals. When I saw that, I was like, nope.
Not that
And the one that I found, it was the last chapter. So by the time we got to the last chapter, I was already in. And it was just like, okay. So then it was like, okay, so when we get married, because, we've already established this. But it took 2 years. It took 2 years because
you weren't really looking for marriage. So you would not have had that conversation with God.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's
Nina said, I'm looking to mash my gas.
Right. You're not going to talk to God about that.
The point I was trying to make is not all of us are going to God to ask God until it's too late. And when I say too late, it's like we're now in it and we realize that maybe we missed a couple of steps along the way.
Right.
I got you. Terry, please.
I think what happens is with two things, with all the conversations and everything we're supposed to have, what it sounds like is a lot of folks see red flags and they try to turn them green. And so what happens, like I always tell my clients, stop trying to turn red flags green. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Mercy. And people pray, God, send me so-and-so, send me this. And he says, I did, but you did not want what I sent you. You wanted what you wanted. You see what I'm saying? Every week, that trash man come by and pick up your trash and say hi to you.
That ain't all he picking up.
Darlington. Hey man, just gonna pick up that trash, whatever. And it's like, hey, how did you do it? And he's asking, and he's being care. He's all, and you just like, man, that guy pick up the trash. I don't want that, but I want him over here because he got this and he got that going on. But he's sending you what you need, but you don't want that. And then when you get married, you come in to see me and say, well, God hates divorce and I don't want to get separated because God brought me this man. He put us together. I said, did he? Did he? Really think he did? And I said, and so this man that you said put you together, you stole him from somebody else. He done gave you everything in the STI handbook. And now, this is true. Gave you everything in the STI handbook, and here you are several years later coming to see me talking about, well, God hates divorce. I said, he also hates sin too. And I said, let me understand this situation. I feel I'm no longer good for anyone. Yeah, because of what he gave you. And I said, so what made you think this was okay, man? Well, I thought it was out of my system. I thought it was out of my system. The disease or the cheating? Which one are we talking about here?
But I I think
We-
one thing that limits us, and I'm going to say this as a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church,
Mercy.
is that my pool is Seventh-day Adventist men.
Mm.
And if I look outside of that pool, I'm sinning.
But you,
What? Oh, you're sinning? You said?
Because I'm not equally yoked.
I thought you said swimming.
That's
sinning.
can-
Sinning.
Sinning. Yeah.
yeah. I
So-
didn't look in the SDA pool. I just want to put that out there. I didn't.
so
Oh,
so
y'all,
And,
Sade,
and
Hold
she
on, wait,
became
wait.
yeah.
no, men can do that.
Yes. Double
Men can
standard. Yes.
Y'all can go because you'll convert her to be one of us. Okay.
I feel attacked.
But we are told as Adventist women to look inside of the church. And if we go outside of the church, we're unequally yoked, we are lowering our standards, and but it's like what's in the pool? As Sabrina said,
What's in the pool?
Listen, let me say this.
somebody said there's piss in the pool.
Listen, sometimes you got to change your fishing hole. Okay, sometimes you got to change your fishing hole. If you keep fishing in the gutter, okay, what do you think you're gonna get? What's in the gutter? Barracuda, catfish, shark, gator, all of
Tilapia.
that.
Tilapia.
You keep throwing your reel in, and maybe one day I catch one of them here, and he got all his teeth. Okay,
Prim.
You need
Prim
to
is in the
change.
fishing pool.
You
Prim.
need to change your fishing hole. You ever been to Jamaica? You seen the clear waters in Jamaica? You get to see all the pretty little angelfish and the starfish. You can see the clear waters. Now, every now and then, there's a Portuguese man of war in there. But what I'm saying is, you at least get to see that. And it always reminds me of the story. Remember, Pastor, you can appreciate this. Remember when Jesus, after he was crucified, he came back? And I think it was it Paul? They were out fishing. He said, I'm going fishing. And they
Peter,
went
man,
fishing.
please don't say
Peter.
Paul.
It was Peter.
Peter.
My
Yes,
bad. It was
please.
Peter. It was Peter. It's been a while. All right, it's Peter. Okay. I ain't been to Sabbath school in a while. It's Peter. And so they went out there and he went fishing. And so Jesus was standing on the bank and he said, have you no meat today, my children? No, bro, we ain't caught nothing. And he said, what? Cast your net on the right side. So much so that what? The fish was overflowing and the nets never broke. Sometimes you gotta change your fishing hole. If the SDA church ain't it for you, change your fishing hole.
You listen, here's the problem. The problem is if you put your net on the other side, you have too many fish to choose from.
not I said the
Is
case.
there
This is
alcohol-
the
is there
issue, though,
alcohol,
and I am not
What's
a
that?
member.
Plenty old fish.
I am not a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but and I grew up as a Christian, Baptist. That's my world.
Uh-huh.
However, at some point in my life, I realized that I could continue down the road of religion, or I could seek a personal relationship with God. Now, I don't have any issue with anybody's chosen religion. But at some point, we've got to recognize that prior to religion, God existed. And it was man who interjected and put religion in this space. And religion has done nothing but separate.
Yeah.
Now, are there some benefits to religion? Absolutely. There's discipline, there's learning, there's understanding, there's an entry into understanding why you need to have a personal relationship with God. But if you put your personal relationship with God before you put anything else, I can't imagine that you are actually going to hell if your husband is found outside of the Seventh-day Adventist church.
So
now, I
let-
know that's what you might have been
so-
taught, but as a Christian in
no.
the Baptist church, I couldn't wear red lipstick or we were going to hell.
Rosa,
let me
let me say this, and I agree with you 100%, right? I think we fall short, right? When, just like you said, when you allow what you believe in terms of religion to overthrow what you understand in terms of relationship with God,
Right.
right? There's this, no matter what denomination you come from, there's this idea of either walking in the flesh or walking in the spirit. That don't have nothing to do with religion.
Right.
That has everything to do with having a personal relationship with God. It's funny because just this week I was reading, flesh is death, spirit is life and peace, right? I just picture two people on the side of me. Touch it, taste it, feel it loud in this ear. And in this ear, I hear a small voice saying, now, you know, you're not supposed to do that. Please don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You might end up paying more than you're willing to pay. Those voices walk in two opposite directions. Whichever voice I follow will determine whether I'm walking in death or whether I'm walking in life.
Absolutely.
That don't got nothing to do with religion.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the pool, God, I need somebody for me, somebody that you ordained for me, that loves you, that obeys. Now, I know that there are some, you know, the little things that in terms of our belief systems, right?
Right.
I need you to send that for me. Now, I don't know whose teaching is teaching us that, if you do outside of this, the Baptist, Methodist, Adventist, I don't care what denomination you're from.
I think Sade was preferably speaking. Am I correct, Sade? Or maybe you're saying that, oh, well, with the way you looked at me just now.
No. That's that. I mean, that's where I'm at. I don't think
it's easy to be unequally yoked with. I married somebody who was of the same denomination that I was. We were not equally yoked.
So let me say this. I was not raised Adventist. I'm first generation Adventist. I got baptized at Oakwood. Okay.
Oh.
I'm a Baptist PK. Okay.
You still knew.
I know Jesus, right? But one thing I say is
facts.
When it comes to the desires of the heart, right? And what I desire, it is easier for me because this is what my mother told me. She said, how can you submit to a man who doesn't believe what you believe?
Wow.
If I'm being a wife and I'm saying I'm submitting to you and you go to a different church, I'm supposed to go there with you. Right.
You know what? Let me say this to you, Sade, and I'm going to say this.
You have to take your.
No. Please hold on. Let me say this. Let me stop being popular for a second, please, and allow me to be realistic in my mindset. Rochelle just made a comment where she said her and her man, they were Baptists. I don't think Rochelle would have had it any other way in the beginning. I don't think you would have had it any other way. We Baptists, we believe the same thing. We go to church on Sunday, we do so blah blah whatever. Got it. I think I am giving you like high check marks for you to say, for me, this is the desires of my heart. This is where I believe that God needs me to go. Especially, I'm going to say this, that if you became an Adventist in college, right? And you desire a strong man, I'm just telling you, and you desire a strong man, that man will lead you from where you first made your commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I'm gonna just be clear. Now, let me go back to Popular Gram. Okay, let me go back to Popular Gram. Let me be clear, okay? I do believe that God is calling us in all instances to evangelistically date. Okay? When I make these statements in our churches, they come to me and they say, you're leading our young people to look outside the church. And I'm saying, but we're also leading our young people to relate to people outside of the church.
Right.
Relational is all different ways. Now, and the reason why I'm saying that is because many people that I have seen in the Adventist church, as Clifton has said it and others, Jojo has said it in the comments, that there's so many, Pastor Natasha has said it in the comments. Many of us marry Adventists, and we're unequally yoked.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up unequally yoked. And I'm telling you, the greatest part of unequally yoked that we don't talk about in the church enough is that I need to be, if I'm a freak, I need to marry someone who will understand my freakiness.
Indeed.
Oh, you understand where I'm coming from? If I have the conversation while we are
how are you gonna find that out if there's no sex before marriage?
Well, let's check the devotions. Check the devotions Armina was reading. I don't know.
How to be a freak in 10
I'm going to tell you. I like to get it in. And hopefully you do too.
But
And hopefully you
we're
do.
talking about conversations, right? That is a great
It's a
conversation
great conversation.
to have, but we don't have those conversations. I was raising my hand. I want you to finish your thought, Pastor
No, I'm
Paul.
good.
but
Go.
The concept that you're introducing tonight is very new to us. And if we are really honest, we have been this generational type of denomination where most of us are in it because other family members have been in it and we're just born into it. Rarely were there, and I'm talking about 80s, 90s, that people was just walking off the street and coming in and being baptized. So now that that's happening, it's a shifting that's happening within the denomination, but we're still holding on tight to the politicals and the policies and the this and the that of the church, where we're really losing the whole idea of what Christ even wanted for us to do and to be while we were here.
Absolutely.
So when I say, okay, right, process for me, okay? When we think about dating, oh, well, y'all are doing other things, married and all those things. But when I think
a
You-
lot of other things.
You and Rochelle are in the same boat. You, Rochelle, and Terry are in the same boat. So go ahead, y'all sail together. Go
Oh,
ahead.
that's why you got them on the top? That's why they
all these verses, right? When I consider, and I think there's a difference between single and never married and divorced, and you've experienced it, right?
Indeed.
Okay.
So when I consider dating, there are things, again, I know my weaknesses. I know things, and I think what we have to be open to, if I said, okay, because I've dated outside the church and I've dated inside the church. All I'm gonna say is outside looks a whole lot better after being inside for too long. Okay. And what the prayer is not, and when I say, SDA, that's the desire, right? In name. But when I was doing my job description, his walk was more important to me than his affiliation. Right. And I think a lot of times we have people who are so in love with a church that they don't know the Christ of that church.
Right.
I think those are the conversations. Like, just because you go to church every Sabbath does not mean that you know Christ. Just because you can quote steps to Christ and does not mean that you know him. So I think where we are, especially when we go back to the teammate or opponent, equally yoked is beyond your denomination. It's beyond, it's your core values and your beliefs.
Absolutely.
And one reason why that is vital to who I am is I don't have a child. And one thing I cannot even think about if I got pregnant, introducing a child to chaos because I didn't ask the right questions. How do you feel about Sabbath school?
But it shouldn't be chaos if it's the right person. And I'm sorry, because if he is open, if this is who God sent for you, he's open to your perspective.
So when I say chaos, I mean, you don't believe in going to Sabbath school, but I believe in going to Sabbath school.
He wouldn't fight you.
wait, hold on. There's this thing in the Adventist church, and hopefully y'all will agree with this, is we don't want to be single wives in the church.
I'm not showing up by myself.
Right. So you may not fight me about the Sabbath.
Okay, well, this is a layman's perspective. Then somebody who
graduated. This is a non-SBA. This is a non-SBA. Michelle, this is a non-SBA.
I was single at church. I was married to a Christian. He wasn't going. But and I understand. But this is the thing. So now you got to prioritize what's more important: having this SDA or having someone that is equally yoked. Because what if that becomes the issue? What if that becomes the question that you have to answer? What if your therapist were to ask you that question and for you to make a decision as to what is more important? Being able to present a picture when you go into the SDA church, because I am walking in with my husband, we've got our kids, we can't get along 5 minutes.
That's always been the case, though.
Right,
Yeah.
but
it's always been external.
But do you still want it? Is that what you want?
But I think
you know why they want it? Because people are more. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To limit it to either or is me limiting God. I believe I can have both.
Okay, well, the problem solved.
I believe I can be equally yoked and he be Adventist. I believe that, right? And in believing that, that changes how I engage with people. It's not on anybody else to find that out or figure that. That's on me to have those conversations of, and it's beyond. How do you believe in us showing up as a unit in front of our family? How do you believe in a unit in front of children? Like, those are the things where I think it's deeply rooted in those, again, the conversations where I don't even know if I like you yet. Who are you as a
But I know some pastors and pastors' wives who showed up and they looked like the epitome of a first family.
Yeah.
And it was hell on wheels.
Okay, stop
on the
talking
way
about
to
my. Stop
church.
talking about my family. Thank you.
And that's some of my family too. So
let me say this. Let me say
wait. Armina and then Terry, and we gotta land a plane. We gotta land a plane. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that we have to allow for, and this is not the popular answer, but grace within the relationship. So for me, and I'll use, that's all I know, is me and my husband are not exactly on the same field when it comes to our walk with Christ. There are moments where he got to encourage me. There are moments where I got to encourage him. Now, if I sat back and was like, well, this is not what I bargained for. Like, I needed somebody who was in there. We going to church every Sabbath. You're going to show up, whether you like to or not. We're going to go. We're going to smile at the people. Right. And then we're going to come home, and then we could duke it out in the car on our way home, because that's what most of us do. If we don't acknowledge that grace in the process, then we could potentially lose a very good person that God has for us.
Absolutely.
So this thing about just dating and marrying that right person, there's so much depth to it. It's not a checklist. It's not like you go down a list of things, because in between those boxes are the things that if we don't pay attention to, we will miss and then lose out on something good.
As they say, the devil's in the details. So if you don't pay attention to those things that are in between the boxes, which are the details, those are the things that creep into the marriage. And you find yourself sitting there looking like, wondering, how did I get here? And why am I in this space? Because I was so careful to do thus and so.
Right. Because I want to say that the relationship can very well start off where we're both actively serving in the church together. Something happens and maybe we experience some sort of trauma or something that we just like that.
Somebody loses.
I'm not really feeling this thing anymore. And if we could be for real on tonight, our denomination, there's some things happening right now. So it's pushing some people either 2 or 4. And so I know in my house right now, we're having some real conversations about the very basic of who God is versus who we have thought he has always been. And what we have found out is that we have been born into this church, both of us, and we just functional Adventists. Like, that's when we don't go to church on Sabbath, we feel weird. Like, okay, we should be in church. Come on. So it's like we're starting to really know God for ourselves, not our parents' God, not the pastor God. And I will tell you, God looks different for me today than he did
totally different.
1990, 1980.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, y'all been keeping this person from me? So I'm just saying this to say that even if we get the relationship and the relationship is perfect and it starts out, somewhere along the line, as we are growing, we may venture down different pathways. And when that happens, the question is, then what?
Now what? Exactly. Now what?
Terry, and then of course my host.
Thank you.
And then I have questions to ask as we let you go. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, I was sitting here and, such a vibrant conversation. I just sat back and listened. And I want to ask you guys, and maybe this could be true for you too, Rochelle, I don't know. But I think as Adventists, some of our worst arguments are on the way to church. It's Sabbath morning. It's Sabbath morning. You can go be cool all week, and then bam, Sabbath morning, you like, man, everybody rushing, trying to get, and you arguing, you're on the way to church, you're taking separate cars, and then you go in, Mina said, sometimes on the way home, and another thing when you get after church, and another thing. I didn't get to say what I wanted to say. A lot of it happens on Sabbath, and somebody put in the chat here, somebody said something about, is there anything, impossible for God? Of course, No, but the deal is, if you don't have a willing
Yes.
partner, most of us have willful partners. You see what I'm saying? They are willful. Rochelle spoke about her husband. He was willful. I ain't going to church. I ain't doing over there. I ain't doing. And so a lot of times we send folks out there like they single in life. You married, and it ain't just the church. You sending them out in the world like they single. And people questioning, I thought she was married. I thought he was married. Every time he show up, he ain't got his wife. Every time he show up, she ain't got her husband. And so I think that we have to be willing and not willful for God to work in us, because if we are willful, it's not going to work. It's not.
Good word.
So
That's a word. That's a word.
So P, it goes back to what we were discussing in the beginning. Teammate or opponent. And a lot of us, because you are not who you're supposed to be before you start making these decisions, you think you're choosing a teammate, but you end up choosing an opponent.
Absolutely.
So then when you get what you get later on, I mean, Rochelle, you spoke to it earlier on in terms of this thing called growth. The questions need to be asked in the beginning, not of anybody else, but you yourself. Am I who I need to be in order to get what I want out of relationship? If that is not the case, if you can't go to the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say that I'm ready based on this criteria, based on all the things that it takes. This is the reason why I say discover, develop, and then deploy. Do you
Be
understand
the criteria you ask for?
I'm just saying, because what happens is in that process, you're doing the soul work. You're dealing with all the traumas. You're dealing with your weaknesses. You're dealing with your inadequacies. You're dealing with all the things that you don't like about yourself. And if you don't like them about yourself, what makes you think somebody else gonna like them about you too? You feel me?
And so then when somebody calls you out on those things, you're not so easily offended because you know they exist. So what you say is, you know what, there's some truth to that. And that's an area of growth for me still, or an area I need to work on.
You said earlier on, which one do you want? Do you want to be equally yoked, or do you want denomination?
Image, right.
And that's it. We're always focused on the outer appearance, not realizing that it's the soul work. And if you have not done that, then you can't get what people who have done soul work get.
Yeah. When you ask the question of, so what are some things that you're working on in your life? We always get the surface answer. We always get the surface answer too, because when you talk about relationship, it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And so those are the early questions we ask, because we're trying to weed you out. We're trying to see whether this is where I want to stay here. But sometimes that question comes too soon when the person doesn't trust you enough to be fully open, honest, and transparent.
Yeah.
I think,
and real quick, I want to say this in my own, to answer your question at the beginning that you put out. My ex and I lived in the same house, but we were wearing different jerseys.
Lord have mercy.
Mercy.
We were wearing different jerseys. We're in the same locker room, but we're wearing different jerseys.
Mercy.
How can you're not on my team? That's not my team's jersey. That's how it was.
Wow.
Same locker room, different jerseys.
I don't know if you have your theme for next week, but that question initially, I didn't even know what y'all was talking about. I just happened to see. I was like, oh, my friends are on. Hey, y'all. That question is that statement is a dangerous statement to make, because if we're not careful, there are a lot of cons that come with thinking about teammates and opponents. And so I don't know if you guys talked about that before I even came on, but there are pros to it, but there are definitely some cons to that too.
Well, listen, let me be clear, right? Therapy is very big for me. I suck at marriage. I suck at life. I'm just stay with me. Just stay with me. Please don't say to me, no, you're great. You're good at it. I'm telling you right now, right? I suck at a lot of things.
Should I be accountable now or later?
Be supportive right now. That's what he needs right now.
I am.
Let's
It's all wrapped
validate
up. It's all wrapped up in one. It's wrapped
Yeah,
up in one.
just and because he always he's asked me, did I sign up for my therapy yet? He's very supportive with me. And
Did you?
I'm gonna tell you.
I did. I just want him to know that I did myself, and so I
Right.
was like, I'm in. Okay.
I'm gonna say this. A lot of times when we do every week when we do this, right? One of the things that we do talk about is when we're finished, what did you get out of it? What did you learn? And one of the things that I've realized is that, and this is what happened with me. I like to have unscripted conversations. And that's why it's called Unscripted Conversations. I don't want to talk to anybody about what I'm asking before it begins. Sometimes Quest don't even know. I'll be like, Quest, what do you think about so and so? Or I posted something earlier. One of the biggest things is that I think it is dangerous. What you just said, I think it is dangerous. That's when Sade said, I don't agree. That she was the first thing. She was like, I don't agree. Was like, I don't think, I got a different mindset about that. Even Quest came on and Quest was like, when am I opposing you? Or am I really opposing you? Or am I really challenging you? And you see it as an opposition. I'm going to say this, that I just think that so many relationships, we oppose the wrong person. We're fighting the wrong person. And sometimes, I hate to say this, that the person that you need to be opposing is you.
My God.
How about that?
In your mouth.
Let me say something real quick to that point. When I was a school counselor, I had some of the worst students. They had been suspended and expelled from multiple campuses. And they came to my campus with this list of things that they couldn't do. And they were just literally parents were saying they are horrible children. And they always said, Miss Darlington, how do you get these kids to respond to you? I said, because I respond to their behaviors. I don't change how I treat them. And I think that's what we have to do when we have situations and relationships that aren't what we want them to be. I can respond to the behavior, but I can't change. You're still who I married. You're still who I decided to be in relationship with. So I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to protect you, and I'm still going to guard you. But we have to respond to this behavior, because I know that's not a totality of who you are. But sometimes that's what we do. We respond to the person instead of just acknowledging, I don't like this behavior. And we see that in teammate versus the opposition.
You know what? Okay, we gotta go part 2 on this. I guess, Armina, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I think we're going to go to part 2 on this, because I'm going to tell you something. When I posted it today, a lot of people were hitting. A lot of people had something to say about it. Truth, this, that, and the other. But the fact of the matter is that many times in marriage, if we look at, am I the issue? Am I the problem? Am I the person? I think we would do much better. And I'm going to say this, in any relationship. Let's take it out of a marriage relationship. Let's take it out of a committed relationship. Even in the workplace, a team gets things done together. And I think one of the most important thing is that, are we opposing one another, or are we, or do we see ourselves as teammates? And sometimes, when we're challenging one another to be better, but it's how you're receiving it, to say, I don't like the way you said it, or I don't like the way you are checking me, or I don't like, and it's difficult to work with a team like that. Marriage is teamwork. Relationships is team. Relationships.
The space has to be safe.
The
space
that's where, when you came in and said, conversations, man.
Absolutely.
Got to have the conversation.
Because you have to be able to say, I hear you, but I could more easily hear you if those other factors weren't at play. And I think it's not until you've been in the throes, for lack of a better term, of a marriage, that you understand how so many little things creep in that will taint how you hear what your partner is saying to you. And as much as they may intend to offer good sound advice, it's that chatter in the background of how you did something else, or how you ignored me the other day, or I asked you to do XYZ, that's still playing in my ear that we haven't talked about. And until we have that conversation and clear the air, but the problem is most people don't want to clear the air because that's tough. And they think if you just let it go right now, we're okay. And maybe in that moment, if you call that okay, it's okay. But if you haven't dealt with it, it's not okay.
But you
I want to say this real quick.
We don't know how to have these conversations. If I come to you and my emotions are raw, my feelings are raw, and because that's playing in my ear and I need to get it out, it's not going to be perceived versus if I let those emotions subside. And then there's an art to conversations.
And there is. And the first thing is, how do I want to hear it? Am I going to be okay if my spouse comes yelling at me, you didn't do, and you didn't do, and you didn't do? No, that's not going to make me feel conducive to doing. So I've got to keep that in mind when I go to my spouse.
I think there's
saying though that we need to have conversations. I think
somebody got to go.
So P for real. There's a text, right? Especially when it comes to conversations and the way we talk with one another. It's found in Colossians, and it says, let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone, your spouse included. And I'm saying this, I know it's not a one size fits all, but what keeps ringing in my head is read your Bible, pray every day, and you'll grow. The first thing that God ever told a married couple when he put Adam and Eve together is to be fruitful, to multiply, to subdue the earth, and to have dominion, right? Like the have dominion part, I found out the other day means to trample, and that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But before we even get to the other three, the first thing that he said is be fruitful. If we're having a conversation and I begin to raise my voice at you, in other words, if I follow the flesh voice, is that fruitful? Is that going to give me what I want in terms of an end result? If it's not, then why in heaven's name am I doing it? Am I a true believer? Now I have to start questioning who I am, back to development again, back to foundation, and who I am as an individual. Because if I'm compromising that at just with us communicating, what else will I compromise?
But I think the other thing is remember I told you I had therapy today. And my therapist told me, he said, moving forward, I don't want to hear anything else that he did wrong.
Come on.
What didn't you do?
Absolutely.
And he said, when you do that, you put yourself in the position to where you can no longer lord over somebody and say, I did. No. Sit down and say, and if we approach conversations and relationships like that, like, hey, listen, I'm sorry that I started us off this way. Right. I went back and I sat down and I thought about how I came in the house and I was already mad. And it wasn't at you, but you were the person that I could yell at today.
Right.
Then we can process. But if I feel like I'm right and you wrong, then we can't have a conversation. We're having a debate. And that's never going to happen.
Sade, even if he's 70% wrong and you 30% wrong, that's still 30% that you got to deal with before you got to touch his 70.
And here's the other thing with that. Even though, like, Sade comes in the house and she makes that apology or whatever, but I'm still there. You see what I'm saying? Her job is to do what? Keep that even till, because I'm trying to bring it down. It's like, you know what? Then you go into validation. Valid means what? To make true. That's what I'm trying to do. You know what? You're absolutely right. I can understand you upset about this. And there's 6 levels of validation. We ain't got time to go through that. But I'm saying you valid. I understand where you're coming from, because if somebody responded to me that way, I will probably do the same thing. You see what I'm saying? And when you're trying to apologize, Don't ever bring up what the other person did. Apologize for what you did. But so many times we are like, yeah, but you did. And look, I apologize for that. Because, if it made you feel that way, then what do you mean if I made you? I told you it made me feel that way. What do you mean if? And you just say, you know what? I apologize for my behavior. Tell me. Sade said it earlier. It's not about it. Here's the thing. It ain't about what you're doing. Sometimes it's about what you're not doing.
Right.
What you're not doing.
Listen, folks. I got to end on that. Armina is looking to her left, which means her husband is calling her to bed.
No, baby, she woke. I was yelling too much, and she woke up. Like, she's like, "What's going on?"
Okay, and you listen, Rochelle. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Meeting you, and
I have trained her well, young Sky.
She can come back anytime.
Anytime we see your name pop up on it, we're gonna be like, all right, let's. I like this. Let's bring the non-Adventist in, so she'll teach us how to be good at Adventists.
I hear this part 2 next Monday, bro.
I heard that on the line too.
What does that say?
Apologize for your stuff.
Apology for your stuff. Do the soul work.
Apologize for your stuff. You better go apologize.
Your Bible great every day, and you grow.
When you apologize for your stuff, also, it's so much better when I apologize and I change my behavior moving forward. An apology
too.
That's the only apology. That's the only real apology, though. That's the only real apology.
Change behavior is just words.
Yes.
Let me say this real quick. I'm gonna say this real quick.
Sex after an apology is amazing.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
No, it's not beautiful.
This is why we have a problem with change. I always say people can change, but they don't. Their circumstances do. You see what I'm saying? Their circumstances do. Change is that speed.
I'm trying to apologize.
But the bottom line is this: nobody wants to be accountable. Accountability is the speed bump on the road to change. And if you can be accountable, you can be accountable. Come on, give me that whistle again. Give me that whistle again.
Come on.
Accountability is the speed bump on the road to change. And people don't want to be accountable for their stuff. And that's why we stay stuck in where we are, because you don't want to be accountable. Because how many times do you hold the mirror up to your face and say, okay, look, I've done X, Y, and Z. It's easy to blame others. I'm done. I don't want Paul to get in trouble. Go ahead.
I don't even know what I just did here.
Let me just say this. My accountability isn't to my spouse first. Lord, forgive me for offending my spouse. Soften their heart before I approach them, because I hurt you by hurting them.
Sade, you know what my therapist told me the last time we met?
What?
Here's your assignment. Go and look yourself in the mirror and write down every lie you told yourself.
Give yourself first, yeah.
How about that?
I was like, can you tell your therapist, get out your business? Can you? I legit want to.
I've been told that.
Mind the business that pays you. Oh, wait, I do pay you. All right. Oh,
I'm like, I guess this is what you pay me for. Right?
I was just saying. She said you can, but I don't know if that'll necessarily work for. Okay.
Can I put a cheap plug in before you end?
There's no such thing as a cheap plug.
Come on.
Candor Consulting Firm is giving away slots for 12 free sessions.
Hold on. Say it one more time. Wait. Say it one more time. Go ahead. Say it one more time.
Candor Consulting Firm, we're giving away slots for 12 free sessions.
Get in.
Now, that is unheard of, but we are in the business of helping people to heal. So if you truly want to heal, hit me up, let me know, and we can get you started ASAP.
Yo, just put your stuff in the thing, man. Put your information in there. Put your information, please.
Wes, every time I hear that, you know what I think of? That whistle. I'm expecting to hear just like Uniblast.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I hear that mean. This stuff is going.
Mean.
Well, folks, I'm gonna let you go one by one. First of all, I'm gonna let the intern go, Miss Intern. I want to thank you so much.
Salute,
it's great
bro.
meeting you. It is great meeting you. Let's do this again. Let's do this again.
Of course, I will gladly come back. I enjoyed the conversation and the
Come on.
discourse. Thank
You
you.
got it. Be blessed. Be blessed. Hey, listen, Terry,
Yo,
you are an amazing dude.
Oh.
You know when things are really good when somebody texts and says, "Get that guy Terry back." They don't know that I don't like you, but you put the ratings up. So I mean,
I felt the disturbance in the force.
Woo! Terry, we'll
Hey,
see you,
man,
man.
thanks for having me on, man. I enjoy coming, man. I do.
Man,
Harry
anytime.
Parks is
Later, baby, later. And Armina, let me see. There we go. Somebody put that number down. Share it.
Come
Share
on.
it. 12 free.
You better grab that.
Well,
That is unheard of.
Yes.
I ain't going to her because I got too much to say, and she'd be like, "That dude, are you crazy?"
Mm.
You'd be surprised. I've heard it all. But I wouldn't want you to come to me. We're friends.
You're right. And I'm gonna tell you this. I remember, Armina, the other day that I was telling Quest I was looking for a therapist, and when I was looking for a therapist, my conference gives free, and I looked at all those names, like 2 people I didn't know.
Mm. Wow.
You were about to lose your child. Armina, take care, girl.
All right. Love you guys. Good to see you.
We see you.
See you.
That girl is bad, man. She's good.
Oh,
And now
man.
the culprit.
Dog, I can't have you beating up my homie, man.
I was
Man,
just sitting here minding the business that pays me.
Minding the business.
She got her hair did. See how it's flowing?
I actually cut it today. I cut it all off. Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna say it in front of everybody before we go. I don't care. I am destined to see you with the right person. I want to see you so happy. So you know that song when the beat comes in, right?
Crazy. I'm named after her, and that is one artist I cannot stand. It is.
Are you serious?
No.
No, but listen, the thing is, because Mia, you
We're all coming to the wedding.
Come on, I don't even want to. We can just have a really non-Adventist reception.
Oh, come on. Mine was. It was going down.
Hey,
It was going down.
I'm gonna tell my grandma, baby, it's 9 o'clock. You gotta go. Praise God.
You got to go. We was out of the country, so it was going down.
Sorry. I can't stand her, but it's because that's what my mother listened to. The 2 things my mother did while she was pregnant. I cannot stand watermelon and Sade, and I'm named after her.
Wow. Man, that's all we listened to, man. She was so fine, that South African young lady.
If I tell you
Well, I did say for my 40th birthday, I am going to do a photo shoot in, honoring some of her pictures because I just
Okay, but let me ask you, what when are you going to be 40?
2026. So this year is 39. This is the last year of my 30.
Yeah, you may not be able. That photo shoot might be a photo album. I mean, a marriage photo album. All right,
listen, sir.
Sir,
I'm praying for it. I'm praying
for
it.
Find me, please.
You know what I'm saying?
Oakwood, what more do you want from me?
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Do what you do, Lord. Do what you do. Later, girl. We'll talk.
Where in the country are you now, Sade? Where?
In Huntsville. I fly to DC tomorrow.
Praise God.
Well,
DC is
what
home.
You doing here?
No. I'm going to DC for work.
Oh, Huntsville is home.
No. Dallas is home.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm just in Huntsville because I'm flying out from Huntsville to DC tomorrow for work. I'll be there until Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yo, Text me.
Okay.
I was on the way through his neighborhood yesterday, but he was off in JA living it up
I
with
just got back
Wendy.
from Jamaica last night.
Oh, must be nice.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you gentlemen have a wonderful evening as
Yes,
always.
ma'am.
Good
Yes,
night.
ma'am.
Good night, girl. Good night. Good night. Good
Pete?
people right there. Good people, man.
Good people, bro.
Good people, man.
Good people,
Shoot.
bro. These are the conversations that we live for, and we need to have them more often.
Yeah. You know, my wife asked me, I don't know if it's personal, but she said, so do you learn anything? And I thought it was really important for her to ask me that. Do you learn? Every time we get on, man, I learn something. Every time I get on, I learn something.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you two things that I'm walking away with tonight, and I don't know if I'm.
Somebody said we need to do a part 2 next week for sure.
For sure. Who that? JoJo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shouts out to Natasha. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Two things I'm walking away with tonight.
Okay.
And I've been saying it towards the end. Good people of God, if you want relationship, if you single and you want relationship, if you in relationship and want marriage, if you in marriage, do me a favor, stop reading your Bible for recreational purposes.
Read it. What would you say? Read it for change?
Read it for change. Read it for transformation. Read it for life. You know what I'm saying? We said it. Read your Bible, pray every day, and you grow. Don't read your Bible, forget to pray, and you shrink. That and communication is the bloodline of any relationship.
Wow.
That's what I'm
listening. For all those who are on right now, we want to thank you for joining us. Take the time to share this with 5 people. Share it with 5 people.
Please.
We got some exciting coming up, man. March 2nd, I have the king, the number 1 top speaker in the United States will be here. Eric Thomas.
Fix that volume, P. Yeah, is that me or is that you?
Nah, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. I thought that the devil
He'll be here the 2nd of March.
2nd of March. He's there for the day.
I'm bringing him. I'm just trying to fix it all together now. But if he comes in, then I think that's a Sunday. That's Sabbath. We should do our thing. That's Sabbath.
Let me know, and it's done.
Good.
Let me know, and that's done. And I'll stay until Sunday. You know what I'm saying? And we can get it in.
No doubt. Listen, man, we'll chat. We'll see you. And for all those who was on with us today, thanks for hanging out with us. Peace, y'all. Peace. That's it. Yeah,